Hello, welcome to the Tales of Wonderful Things. Denton here to bring entertainment, to amuse, to educate, and hopefully keep you enthralled right up to the end of this video, or at least keep you awake. And the subject of this inspirational tale is superstition. A hopefully humorous and amusing little look at some highly bizarre beliefs, the total bizarreness of which never for a moment stopped people believing in them, though how or why anybody ever thought most of them up in the first place is a tad hard to understand, or that anybody else believed them if they did so. You know, I really think the human race has an amazing ability to dream up utterly impossible things and then believe them with a certainty as they would genuine things, like, the sun will rise tomorrow. I mean, that's a fact, it will. But most of what you're about to see, well, they aren't. Not by a long way. But first, gentle listeners, I must give you a warning. Before you continue watching this video, it could kill you. Yes, it could kill you. And being dead could spoil your enjoyment of it. Yes, you see, they say laughter is good for you, but laughter can be fatal. That's a medical fact. Oh, yes. An ancient Greek actually laughed himself to death because extreme laughter can cause necrosis, which is tissue death in the pons and the medulla located in the brainstem, and that can lead to death. And, well, that certainly will not add very much to your enjoyment of this video. So you have been warned. I accept no responsibility for fatalities caused by this video, and you watch it entirely at your own risk. And since I don't have any money, suing me won't get you anywhere anyway. Not that it would benefit you very much, I suppose, if you were dead. Oh well, you have been warned. Got it? Good. So, let us proceed. You know, not many people today really, I suppose, would do anything but laugh at the idea of superstition itself. What a load of old rubbish. You know, considering such things to be silly products of an ancient lack of scientific knowledge, impossible ideas, and wondering why anyone actually believed in them. Yet, despite that, despite our advanced scientific knowledge, many superstitions still abound today, ideas actually believed in by many people over the recent past in the so-called Age of Reason and down to our own time. Superstitions that flourish among those who do possess scientific knowledge. If you consider the beliefs of the ancient peoples to be silly and impossible to believe in, well, just wait till you get a load of this lot. Superstitions that are with us to this day, the age of computers, of rocket science, of knowledge and understanding of things vastly superior to anything known in the past, and yet we still avoid walking under a ladder. Now, not because Fred the painter might drop the bucket of paint he's using up there down onto your head. Oh no, I mean, that would make perfect sense. But because somehow or other the ladder, forming as it does a triangle leaned against the wall, has become the Holy Trinity. Though how is rather hard to understand. It's just a ladder, after all. And you must reverse direction and go back the other way, or the hand of ill fortune will smite you. Yeah, there's a whole lot of rocket science in that one. Superstition is a very curious thing. Now, not religious faith as such. That's a different thing. Nor does it apply to things like herbal remedies, to crystals, or to other natural sciences, which we know actually do work. No, I'm talking about superstition. It may be as simple as people saying, bless you, if you sneeze, or throwing salt over your shoulder, despite the fact that just throwing salt in any direction isn't going to have the slightest actual effect on anything at all used in that manner. Unless, of course, someone is standing behind you and you throw it into their eye, and it will certainly have an effect on them and possibly on you when they get their hands on you. The dictionary definition of superstition is religious belief or practice considered to be irrational, unfounded, or based on fear or ignorance, excessively credulous belief in and reverence for the supernatural, and widely held but irrational belief in supernatural influences, especially as leading to good or bad luck, or a practice based on such a belief. So, given that, nobody with a working brain cell should believe a word of it, right? Oh, but they do. Oh, yes, they do indeed, as we shall see. Even with all the advances in science and the understanding of natural events, such as earthquakes, volcanoes, thunder and lightning, day and night, and so forth, we still, even today, follow some ancient superstitions, some of which date back to the dawn of human existence, usually without our even realizing it. Primeval fears still lurk deep inside us, left over from when we dressed in skins and beat each other with clubs. Fear of the dark, for example. Science and common sense tell us there's nothing to be afraid of in the dark, apart from the obvious risk of tripping over something, the toy your child left on the stairs, the water on the floor you can't see and slip on. But the dark itself is perfectly harmless. It is simply an absence of light that has no effect on anything whatsoever. Everything is exactly the same, you just can't see it. Yet many people are still afraid of the dark. Not something they just can't see because of it, but the fact that it's dark. The dark itself. They fear the dark as though it was some kind of black entity, and shut them in a dark room and they have hysterics. Oh, let me out, let me out! Why? There's nothing in there that wasn't in there when the light was on. You just can't see it. But that primeval fear just pops up and it whispers in their ear. Be afraid. Oh, yes. Be very afraid. Oh, yes. It could be in here with you. Well, it could. I mean, if it existed, it could be. Yeah, anyway. Some ideas or reactions are obvious, of course, as to where they came from and why people would believe that. A few make sense. Fear of fire, for example. But others are so completely devoid of even a grain of basic intelligence that one has to wonder how anyone ever came up with the idea in the first place and why anyone else ever believed it. I find all that quite fascinating. It shows that despite our getting to the moon and solving incredibly complex equations, making great discoveries and so on, basically, the human being can be really dumb. Some superstitions can even have two completely differing ideas associated with them, such as why a black cat is a harbinger of doom and despair, the very symbol of bad luck on one side of the Atlantic Ocean. Ah, shoot, a goddamn black cat and it done crossed my path. God darn it, that's today's Scrooge, so help me Gilly Johnson. And you kick it, scoring a field goal with the cat. Meow. But on the other side of the Atlantic, it's a symbol of good luck. You give a picture of a black cat to someone to wish them good fortune. Somebody's getting married, you give them pictures of black cats. And if one walks past you, well, the reaction is totally different. Oh, I say, a jolly old black cat. Oh, absolutely spiffing, what? I think I'll do the lottery today. Today will be a lucky day. And you rub it while it entwines itself around your ankles, rubs its wet nose on you, or in the case of a cat I have, drools on you. Does the Atlantic Ocean have some magic power over black cats? You take one from east to west and it becomes a dreaded bearer of ill omens. Beware the evilness of the black cat. But you take it from west to east and it brings happy tidings, joy and gladdery. Oh, tra-la-la, the joy be unconfined. It's a black cat. How wonderful. What was that I said about the human race being really dumb? Of course, what the colour of a cat has got to do with luck, good or bad, is really rather hard to understand, but since most superstitions have not a lick of sense in them, I suppose it doesn't really matter. Or, why is a disembodied rabbit's foot seen as a bringer of good luck? Didn't do a whole lot for the rabbit, did it? I'm sure if you asked the bunny hopping around on three legs for his opinion on the good fortune-bearing qualities of his missing foot, he'd tell you to shove it up your arse. And why just a rabbit's foot? I mean, why not whack a foot off a hamster or a guinea pig, a mouse, or any other small furry animal and go around with that? A foot's a foot. So, let us have a look at some interesting and quaint ideas from various places around the world. To avoid bad luck in Argentina, you touch your left testicle. Probably wise to counter ill fortune in that manner indoors, otherwise it might not go down too well with El Policía Nacional. But should you for some reason be missing that particular bit of your anatomy, you can touch your left breast. Just remember to ask permission first if you're using somebody else's breast, or again you may come to the notice of the authorities and your attempt to avoid bad luck will fail miserably. Apparently there's no good luck capability on the right hand side though, and it seems to apply only to men. Do Argentinian women just have to accept their misfortune, or do they grab their own breast, or perhaps ask a male friend for a lend of the required item? I really have no answer for that. Let us move swiftly on from that one. Breaking a glass. Now that will get you a year's bad luck. But breaking a mirror, oh, that will result in 7 years bad luck. Why 7? Not 5 or 9 or some other number? Well, 7, like 3, has always been seen as a magic number for some reason. As to the actual breaking of the mirror, tradition held that mirrors weren't just providers of reflections of our image, but held a part of our souls as well. Mirrors used to be covered up after death to prevent the souls of the departed being trapped in them, and also because it was thought that the dead person could be seen in them, and not just in the distant past. My grandmother told me how they used to cover all the mirrors after death, so as not to see the recently deceased person in them looking back at them. And that's not so long ago, and people still do that. But unlike what I'll be talking about in a moment, there may well be a grain of truth in that. Here's the thing. A few years ago, my granddaughter was in my house, and she went into the bathroom, where we have a full-length mirror on the wall. We heard a shout, and she came running out. She said, "There's a man in the mirror," looking at her. Now, she described him as a large, elderly man, a very big man, which was exactly the description of the man who had owned my house previously, a former dock worker. I knew that because his daughter lives only 2 houses away and confirmed the description. He died years previously, and the house had been empty for some time before I got it. And I'd lived in it for like 20 years by the time he decided to make an appearance in the mirror. Why he waited all that time, I really don't know, and he's never been seen again, but it does seem to give a certain credence to that particular superstition. The Russians, of course, believe that breaking mirrors is a gateway for evil entities to enter the world, because by breaking a mirror, you may release evil spirits. Not to be outdone by the Russians, the Swiss say that whoever is the first to look into a broken mirror is going to die. So if you smash a mirror, be careful not to look into any of the bits as you sweep them up, or you're done for. So don't look! Avert your eyes, look away, or you're doomed. Doomed, I tell you, doomed! You can count on the knowledge of the Swiss. Oh yes, anyone who can make cheese that consists largely of holes with no cheese in them, lovely blocks of holes held together with bits of cheese, they really must know something. Don't ever walk backwards, since, you see, if you walk backwards, that will show Satan your path in life and bring misfortune upon you. At least so they believe in Portugal. Again, with some truth in that superstition, since walking backwards means you will probably trip over something, regardless of whether or not Satan notices your reverse directions, you will certainly notice the ground when you hit it. Magpies. Oh, yes, magpies. In Britain, it's unlucky to see just one magpie, and you must say, "Good morning, Mr. Magpie, and how is your lady wife today?" to show him respect. And the suggestion that there are 2 of them, hopefully, that will bring joy rather than sorrow, as the famous rhyme would indicate. But what if it's a female magpie, and not a lesbian one that might have a wife? I really don't know, nor if you can tell the difference between them sex-wise. Magpie sexing isn't a topic of burning interest to the general public, I should think. All magpies look the same to me. Encounter a magpie in Yorkshire, and by gum, lad, thou must make the sign of the cross, because them birds, they be demonic. They be the devil's creatures. They're unclean, I tell thee, associated with witchcraft. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They know about things up there in Yorkshire. Other things you can do to ward off the evil influence of a magpie is to doff your hat, if, of course, you do happen to be wearing one, which these days is probably unlikely, and you spit 3 times over your shoulder. Doff and spit. And you wave your arms up and down, and you caw to imitate the bird's missing mate. Caw, caw, caw. I'm assuming, of course, that it does actually have a mate, and that the mate is actually missing, and how you're supposed to know that, I really have no idea, since a magpie with a missing mate probably looks exactly the same as a magpie whose mate isn't missing. What do you do if it doesn't have a mate and they aren't missing and you don't have a hat to doff? I really have no idea as to that either. Just sort of make it up as you go along, I suppose. You know, when I was young, every man wore a hat. These days, you see a man wearing a hat and you win a prize. And what about women? What do they doff? Or does magpie bad luck only affect men? And if you follow the prescribed ritual, of course, for protecting yourself, you will probably be arrested as drunk and disorderly as you stand there flapping your arms and cawing, or even possibly committed for psychiatric examination. But, at least you will not have angered the magpie and drawn down its evil influence on yourself. You have saved yourself from its feathered wrath, which will be a great comfort to you as you sit in your cell in the police station or the padded room in the psychiatric hospital where the nice people in the white coats will look after you. The rhyme, of course, is 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy, 5 for silver, 6 for gold, and 7 a secret never to be told. Some versions go all the way up to 20. But you know, not just magpies. Oh no, not just magpies go by numbers. Crows do also. And seeing 5 crows means sickness will follow. And if you see 6, well, if you see 6 crows, I'm very sorry to tell you that you should settle your affairs, make your will, and prepare for the end, because you are going to die. Don't blame me. Don't blame me. The crows, they know these things. Oh yes, the crows know. You can't argue with that. And bear in mind that if a bird calls from the north, it means impending tragedy. If it calls from the south, the harvest will be plentiful, which will be of little use to you, of course, if you're not a farmer and you don't have a harvest. But anyway, if it calls from the east, well, you will find true love, while from the west indicates, well, good luck is on the way. All you need to determine your destiny is a compass. And ravens, now ravens, they are still kept in Great Britain's famous Tower of London. Their wings clipped, so they stay there, because it is said that should they ever leave the Tower of London, the kingdom will fall. But have no fear, royalists everywhere, for baby ravens have been born in the Tower of London quite recently. And the kingdom is safe. Her Britannic Majesty can rest assured that the realm is secure and protected by the ravens. Yes, your Majesty, have no fear. The ravens hold the tower, and your throne is secure. What a load of pure, unadulterated horseshit. Rather, bird shit on that occasion. If you smell a dandelion, though frankly why you would I really don't know, since they don't have any perfume to speak of, well, if you do, oh, you'll be sorry, because you'll wet the bed. No dandelion sniffing, especially before bedtime. You have been warned. You should take care not to drop things in the kitchen unless you're ready to receive guests, because if you drop a knife, a man is going to visit. Drop a fork, and a woman's going to pop in. And drop a spoon, and you'll be entertaining a child. But whatever you do, don't drop the dishcloth, or it's bad luck that's coming your way. Let the knives and forks and spoons clatter to the floor, but keep your grip on the dishcloth. Grip it with both hands, your very life is at stake. Yeah. Now, for a bit of good luck, dig a hole in your garden, fill it with water, and put in a few goldfish. And there you go. Lady Luck will smile upon you, and good fortune will descend around you. But don't even think of bringing the goldfish into the house, or bad luck is going to make a beeline for your door. Fish in garden, very good. Fish in house, very bad. Your doorway obviously acts on fish, as the Atlantic Ocean does on black cats. Did you know that a sailor wearing an earring can't drown? No. Neither did all those pirates of the Caribbean who wore lots of earrings and drowned pretty frequently when their ships sank. Having a cricket in your home is said to bring good luck, so lots of crickets should make one a certain winner of the lotto jackpot, right? Well, my granddaughter had a gecko that lived in my house, and dozens of crickets were put into its tank on a regular basis. So my house was rather full of crickets, but I hadn't noticed any wonderful good luck coming my way. And the crickets themselves were noticeably unlucky, since the gecko ate them. A robin flying into your home is a harbinger of death. Oh yes. A robin flies into your home. Well, tell the undertaker to get you measured. But now a frog will bring good luck. See a robin? Contact the undertaker. See a visiting frog, and you're not going to croak. Sorry, I just couldn't resist that one. It's bad luck to sleep on a table. Ah! At last, a superstition that really makes perfect sense. Of course it might bring bad luck. You might fall off the bloody thing. Why would you want to sleep on a table, of course? Well, that seems a bit hard to understand, though I have known of people doing it. Funny story time. When I worked in the security business, there was one night I had occasion to call the control room at our headquarters. It would have been in the small hours of the morning, and I had something or other to report. The phone rang a number of times. Then I heard a rather sleepy and somewhat irritable voice say, "What? Hello? Ah!" followed by some obscene expletives. There was a loud crash, like something or other just dropped a pile of bricks, several more muttered expletives, and finally the controller got on the phone. "What the—" expletive removed for the sake of decency. "Do you want?" he said. I knew he wasn't pleased to receive my call. I'm very perceptive about things like that. "I just fell off the—" another expletive removed. "Desk," he said. Apparently, when nothing much was happening, he'd make a little bed for himself on the wide desk where the phone, the base radio, and the computer sat. When I rang, he woke up with a start, grabbed the phone, rolled off the desk, taking the phone with him, and he'd been crawling around on the floor looking for it because he'd also turned off the lights. So you see, it is not a good idea to sleep on tables or desks, especially when you're actually being paid to be wide awake and in control of security operations across an entire city. Well, that's it for part 1. In part 2, there will be yet more wild, weird, and wonderful examples of utter stupidity firmly believed in by, yes, municipal authorities, airline companies, and even an entire country. I kid you not. Stay tuned, watch the space, and all will be revealed in part 2. Till then,